Hey, I'm Andy Aledort, and in this edition of History of Rock, we're going to take a look at the greatest rock band of all time, the Beatles.
There is no band more important to the history and development of rock music than the Beatles. Along with selling more records than any group in the history of pop music, the Beatles defined and redefined rock music itself many times over with each new album release. They set the bar by which every rock and pop band will be measured for the rest of eternity. But let's start at the beginning. Well, the beginning of the band's massive success and the revival across the globe of a phenomenon known as Beatlemania. By the time the Beatles appeared on The Ed Sullivan Show in New York City on February 9th, 1964, they had already sold over 1 million copies of I Wanna Hold Your Hand, which went to number 1 in the Billboard chart February 1st and stayed there for 7 weeks. The Beatles' debut US LP, Meet the Beatles, was released on January 20th, 1964. It would sell over 4 million copies by the year's end. Their appearance on Ed Sullivan drew an estimated 73 million viewers, of which I was one, and were an instant sensation. Beatlemania had arrived on the American shores. I Wanna Hold Your Hand would ultimately sell over 12 million copies.
This song is played in the key of G and starts on the 4-chord C. It goes from C up to D, and this is what John Lennon plays. So you could play it regular C major or C7. He loves these. So in fact, if you don't really bar, then you don't really hear that. Bar chords G, D, and then John just goes up to E minor, but I add the George Harrison chromatic lick. And C to D, G, E, E minor, C, D, G. The week of April 4th, 1964, the Beatles held the numbers 1 through 5 spots on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and they had 7 more songs in the top 100 for a total of 12 songs, all charting at the same time. In the second week on the charts, Can't Buy Me Love shot up to number 1, followed by Twist and Shout, She Loves You, I Wanna Hold Your Hand, and Please Please Me. The 7 other songs in the top 100 were I Saw Her Standing There, From Me to You, Do You Wanna Know a Secret, All My Lovin', You Can't Do That, Roll Over Beethoven, and Thank You Girl. A year's in, there were more Beatles songs in the Billboard Top 100, including the title track of their debut film, A Hard Day's Night, which was released in the U.S. on July 3rd, 1964. The first chord of Hard Day's Night has always proved a bit of a mystery because it's a combination of different chords. John Lennon and George Harrison said they both played F9 down here. George playing the 12 string, but Paul played a high D on the bass. And so a way to combine those is to play the F here and then have the D as an open string. And then our other two notes there like this. So it actually sounds pretty convincing. And then you have it's been a hard G, C, G, F, G, again, F, G, and then George does a little walk up to C, and a walk up to D. For those more adventurous, it's fun to play 6. It's crazy to think that all of this happened within one single year, 1964. So in a future episode, we're going to take a look at some more incredible classic rock music from the Beatles. For History of Rock, I'm Andy Aledort.